Right, good afternoon everyone. Good to see you all down there. Good to see you. Okay. It is what time? I can't see it on my iPad. Yeah, it's 4 minutes to. So in about 4 minutes we are going to get started. Okay. And we are going. I'm just going to clean the lens a little bit. Looks a little bit. See if that's better. Okay, a little bit better. Zoom in a little bit more. This is what we're going to be making today. Okay, so what we're going to be producing, and it's again some more optical illusion art, but really easy one to do. So we're going to go through that. I'm going to start in 3-4 minutes or so. Give people a chance to join in. Now I know it looks like it's online paper, but it's not. You just need plain paper for this. Okay, so if you haven't got all the stuff ready while we're waiting, you need some plain paper, pencil, and a ruler are your main things. Okay, we are also going to use a blue and a black biro, but you don't need those to make the effect, so you can get those later if you haven't got them now. And a rubber is probably going to be a good thing to have as well. Okay, so that's what we're going to be creating. I'm just going to get a cover for my light because it's looking to shine a bit too bright there, and then we'll get started on the hour. Jen, will you pass the cover for my light? I think it'll be in the nursery. It'll be really bright on the first one. Be in there somewhere. Use your eyes, you know, to see it. Right, just going to pop this on the light, should make it easier for you all to see. That looks a bit better. One minute two, so last chance, grab a drink or something like that, or we are going to get started. You hear me making strange noises today. I have got a bad back, so if I keep creaking or oohing and ahhing, then you know what it is. Right, it's 2 o'clock there, so we are going to get started. Once again, just welcome to everyone who is here. Thanks for joining in. I hope you enjoy today's lesson as we go through. As always, if you're watching back, hello as well. But if you're not live, I can see what you're saying in the chat. I can respond to it. But if you're watching back, if you are wanting to send me your pictures when you finish them, or ask any questions or anything like that, my social accounts still all the same. Mr. Biggins 123, and that's for Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. So if you want to send me a message or work or anything like that, you can do it there. Okay, so we're going to start. So as you can see, we've got this optical illusion art where it looks like we've got a hand on a sort of piece of paper, 3D popping out. Again, I always get my camera angles mixed up when I'm doing this. Okay, now this one I made this morning and rushed it quite a bit just to see all the hard parts. So I have got a few bits that I'm not happy with that we're going to make better in today's. Because we've got a lot of people who do this and think it has to be perfect first time. Remember, we're just practicing, we're just learning, so it's okay. So first things first, as you can guess, you need to draw around your hand. Now this will obviously depend which hand you draw with. Obviously I draw with my right hand, so I'm going to be drawing around my left. Okay, so we want to leave it a little bit space at the top. And keep it still and simply draw round our hand with a pencil. Doesn't have to be in exactly the same placement as mine. As you can see with my placement when I take my hand off, probably a little bit different to how I've drawn it on there. Okay, try and push into your hand so we're getting the best hand shape possible. Try not to move your arm as much as you can and you will end up with your hand shape. I'm going to go a bit closer there, okay, so you can see, because we've done it in pencil. So that's what we have got there. So first step, we need to draw round our hand on our piece of paper, so we've got the initial shape of what the hand is going to look like. I'm going to move the light back a little bit because it's still whitening out a little. It's hard to see the paper, so just give me a couple of seconds. And now it's deciding, no, I thought I'm trying to fall over. Here we go, move this one back a little bit. And have a look, we should be able to see the paper a little bit better. Yeah. Okay. So as you can see, obviously, as well, it looks like we are drawing on a lined piece of paper, okay? Normal lined paper that you might get at school or in a book or something like that. So we have to create that effect now. Now, you can, if you want, just start drawing your lines across, but you're unlikely to have them evenly spaced. And the more this looks like real paper, the better, okay? So that is why we have a ruler, okay? So we should all have our hand drawn around there now. And remember, you obviously can pause the video anytime you want if you need to take it, okay? So what I'm going to do, okay, is from the top of the paper, I'm going to do a mark about 1.5 centimeters down, okay? 1.5 meters down, I've got a little line, okay? Did a little bit darker, again, like I normally do, the normal, so you can see. But I've got a little dot on my piece of paper there. That's 1.5 centimeters down. Again, okay. And that's all I'm doing there. Now the rest of the dots, I'm going to put some dots to mark my lines all the way down this paper. And to do that, I'm going to use my ruler. I'm going to put it on the dot, and I'm just going to put a little dot or a little line, whatever you want to do, every centimeter. So every 1 centimeter, I'm going to pop a little dot. Okay, the reason I want the top's a little bit bigger is normally because the top line on your line paper is normally a little bit bigger. And I'm going to try and make this as straight against that side of the piece of paper as possible, as parallel as possible. Okay. Best way to do that is just try and eyeball up. So now I'm just making little marks every 1 centimeter. Okay, and these are going to be guidelines for me drawing my lines. Doesn't matter if the hand's small or if the hand's a little bit bigger, the same effect you'll still have, okay? And then if you want next time, make it a little bit bigger, you can. Obviously, my hand is very big. If you wanted to, obviously, if you're a bit younger, your hand's smaller than mine, next time you do this, you might want to use someone else's hand. You could spread your fingers out wider or closer together, okay, depending on the size of your hand, to create different looking pictures. Okay, so I've drawn 1 meter lines all the way down there now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the other piece side of the paper, okay, and I'm going to do the same. So remember at the top, okay, I made a line that was 1.5 centimeters down, so that's 1, Just make that straight, make it parallel. One, and then one of those little lines, the bigger line that's in between 1 and 2, okay? So first time's about 1.5 centimeters down. Now, just every 1 centimeter, I'm going to pop a little dot. First things first, make sure my ruler is as parallel as I can to this. So this straight line and that straight line should be parallel. They should both be straight, okay? Because if they're not, if it's a bit wonky, it'll affect your lines. And obviously with any optical illusion, like the one that we did last week, sometimes you might not be able to see when you look at something what it is that makes it look not real. But you look at it, and when you look at it, it just doesn't look right, it looks off. And that can be sometimes because, say, if you look at a piece of paper, you're used to the lines being straight like all the way across. So if you're a little bit wonky, it makes it look like that. It can be with the shading, it can be with anything. And sometimes a lot of people don't know what it is that makes it look not real or spoils the optical illusion. But it's because our brain's naturally used to seeing certain things. So if they're a bit different or they're wrong, your says, no, that's not right. So now, okay, you should have your hand in the middle of a piece of paper, and then you've got a dot on each side. First one's 1.5 centimeter down, then each a centimeter down, going all the way down to the bottom. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to draw our lines across, and that's why we have our 2 dots. Okay, I'm going to line up, so there's my dot there, okay, and I should be able to see the same dot on the other side, and there's my first line. Okay, so the reason I put the dots on each side was to make sure my lines are going to be straight and parallel across when I go. Okay, so obviously if you wanted to, you could just draw them, but you're more likely to go wonky. They're more likely not to be the same size because we've used a centimeter each time. They'll all be the same. So I'm going to keep going down first with lines all the way across until I get to the hand, okay, the outline of the hand. So I'm just drawing down, lining up those 2 dots on each side, okay, drawing a line across. Again, we are going to go to the top of these, so if you make a little mistake, you can rub it out, and don't worry if it's visible at first, okay. My last line. Right, okay, now this one has just got the tip of the finger, but I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to do on the next one because it will be easier to see for you, okay. So now I've got my ruler on both dots on each side, so I'm going to draw my line across, but I'm going to stop each time I get to the finger, okay, the outline of the finger. So I'm going along and I stop there, but then the finger goes down, so I'll do my little middle bit there in between the 2 fingers, and then my last bit, okay. And it's best to try, and as we get close down here, it gets a little bit hard, we might miss some of the lines in the middle, but it's best to do them all at the same time because it means that the lines in the middle here will be perfectly lined up with each one on each side. So line my 2 dots up, my line comes across, stops at the finger, doing the middle of the fingers there, then I go here, you might not be able to see, but it's just the tip of the finger there, then go across. So you can start to see. If I do another one, I'll hold up close to the camera and you'll be able to see what it's starting to look like. Okay. So you can see exactly there what I am starting to do. I'm still drawing the lines across, but I'm missing out when I hit the hand. And we're going to do that, okay, all the way down of the dots on the bottom there. Now I can see that one there, that line that I've just done is a little bit wonky. Now always when I'm doing these, I might go a little bit faster than I normally would if I was trying to make my best copy, because I want to make sure we get all the instructions and we're not here for years and years and years, okay. So I'm just going to leave that, but I might have went back and made that wonky. What I normally do, put my pencil on one of the dots and line up the other side, and then I can start to draw them. That's the technique that works best for myself when I'm doing them. And again, once you've done this and you know how it works, you could try maybe with different sort of shapes and things, different rather than a hand. You could the outline of different things. Might be quite cool. Can't think of anything on the top of my head. And again, take your time. Making those lines straight and making it look like a real piece of lined paper is one of the key things in this optical illusion. Okay, so don't rush to try and keep up. If I'm going a little bit further ahead, just slow down. Okay, and pause the video, especially if you're watching back. Easy to pause the video. Obviously, you'll still be able to talk to me in the chat. Tell me where you're up to, what you need a hand with, if you're there. Got quite a few people there in the chat. Good. And I've probably forgotten all your usernames and what your first names actually are. Okay, so I'm just going to say, let's have a look who we've got. Hydro Monkey Pro. Good afternoon. Good to see you, mate. It won't work already on lined paper, Amelia. Sorry, I've just seen that. Okay, it won't work already on lined paper because you're going to see. Oh, I've just started doing that line because I'm talking without lining up. You're going to see when we do the lines in the middle of the hand. If we already had lined paper, okay. We'll have straight lines through the hand, and that's not what we want, so it won't work. I suppose you could cut out a hand on plain paper and stick it onto lined paper. The only issue is if you did that, when you draw your lines across, like on this one, mine are exactly the same as the straight ones because I've drawn both of them. Your blue, if it's slightly different, or if it's a grey, if it's slightly different, that'll give away the fact that it's not real. Okay, and what we're trying to do is give that as well, give that appear. Okay. Again, maybe you can go back in the video as well if you want to. Okay, I'll keep recapping what we've done so far. So good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, Billy. Good to see you, matey. I always keep saying this. I always say good to see you. I think it's just a natural thing that I say, and obviously I can't see any of you, which is a nightmare. But good to see you here, Billy, I suppose. Who else have we got? Sunset Gamers. Charlie, good to see you, Charlie. Yes, I know. I was starting to learn all the names when we were doing 5-6 lessons a week. What your gamer tags were and all that jazz, your usernames. But I'm forgetting again. I think I saw Amelie earlier on. Good afternoon, Amelie. Kaz Art, good to see you. Hadassah, good to hear from you, Hadassah. Miss Allison, good afternoon, Miss Allison. Well, I've been talking to Miss Allison today, so she doesn't get any nice message. And Mrs. Carthy, I'm sure I saw Mrs. Carthy. Emily Shewan, good afternoon. I'm sure there's a lot of more people down there in the chat, but we're concentrating hard. I'm good, Amelia. Thank you very much for asking. Nice to have manners. So good afternoon to all you if you're just watching. Okay. Or if you're not in the chat, or if you're concentrating too much or you're not in the chat, good afternoon to you. Right, okay. So I've now finished all my lines across, okay? So I'm put that way, probably be easy for you to see on camera. So I've got my hand in the middle, and then I've got all my lines across, and all I've done is leave the gaps, okay, when I've come to the hand. Okay, so I'm going to recap through everything I've done because I know some people are just getting plain paper and stuff now. So you get your plain paper, okay, you put your hand on your piece of paper, you draw around it. Obviously it doesn't have to be your hand if you want to get a parent's hand or something, if you want bigger ones. Looks like I've got my fingers there, I haven't, trust me. Okay, then we're going to do a dot 1.5 centimeters down to make the top line a little bit bigger. You might want to go a little bit bigger because I didn't measure exactly what it is. And then every 1 centimeter after that, I've done a dot on this side. And every 1 centimeter down on this side, I did a dot after the 1.5 at the top. And I've joined them up, okay, in order to create my lines going across. Okay, now's one of the harder parts where we are going to start doing the curved parts of the line. Okay, so what we need to do is we are going to go from into the hand, and where the line meets the edge, I'm going to start on this finger here, we are going to do a curved line and then curve it back down to join the other side of the line. So can you see that? Now this is pencil, we're going to rub these out, so make sure you get it right. Okay, so can you see that curve? Okay, so I've curved it up, it went over the finger. Okay, and I'm just going to keep going down that finger for now and doing exactly the same thing. What I'm going to do, I think I'm going to try and zoom in a little bit to help see. Okay, I'll try and move my paper as I do it, try and make it easier for you to see. So I'm doing my curves where one line meets down to the other one, and what I want to also try and do is to keep my curves uniform. Okay, so what that means is I want the curves to be like similar all the way down. I don't want a big curve on one and then a small curve on the other. Doesn't matter if they're a little bit different. Okay, but if you have one massive one and a small one, firstly they'll bump into each other, but secondly it won't look right. Okay. Okay. Now mine's a little bit wonky, and I'll tell you why. Because of the camera angle. Okay, I'm drawing at an angle on here. So I'm going to try and get under the tripod and try and do it. So this line will be about here. So, and I'm going to finish that finger. I'm going to stop there for now. I'm going to focus on the easier lines and we'll get on to the more difficult ones. So now we're going to just want the finger next to it and do the same. Now this one right at the top, okay, would probably go over the edge of the finger because it's right on the tip. So don't worry about that. Don't think you have to go off the finger. You can't go off the finger, okay, or it won't look right. Okay. I'm doing the same. Once you've done a couple of the curves, they get a little bit easier. But this is your point to get them as best you can, because you're really going to have to use these guidelines when you're going over with your blue pen. Okay, and if they're a little bit off, it can make it a bit more difficult. I found that one over there. So done those fingers. So I'm going to go over to my little pinky. Over here. And do the lines on that one. Do you know what it is? I'm looking at both pictures. On both pictures, it looks like these two fingers are webbed. I'm a fish. I should go and see someone about that. And that one probably end about there. Okay, so done those three fingers now, and I'm going to move over and I'm going to start doing this finger. That one again will be over the tip, so it doesn't matter. Now that one, although that curve's probably a bit different to this one, because it's on the edge of the finger, it would start to be going off, so the curve would be a little bit different. So if you just follow the edge of the finger, that'll be fine. Keep these fingers going down. These, lines as are going down the finger. And guys, this is the hardest part. I mean, all we've done so far is drawn lines across, okay, drawn around our hand. And after this, all we're really going to do is go over the top. So getting these curves right is the place where you really want to spend your time and be getting it looking good, because this is what creates the effect. Okay, we'll be having a bit shading later on, but with the shading, oh, that's a bit wonky. Again, I'm going on the edge of the finger, but with the shading, okay, again, it's not very hard shading. We're not doing loads, just putting a little bit underneath when we've finished to make it look 3D. Now I'm going to stop there because what I've got is all my fingers with the curves going down them, down to where sort of the fingers end and it joins the main part of the hand, the back of the hand. Okay, so I'm going to leave those there because these ones here are our sort of our harder ones that we need to do. So what I'm now going to do, I'm going to go down to the bottom of the wrist and I'm going to start doing these ones. Okay, so these ones again are a little bit longer, so you've got to take time with them. Okay, but we're again just doing the same. So we've had a bit of practice with the shorter ones, up with the fingers, and now we're doing longer ones. Okay, so you can see I'm doing exactly the same. My lines are a little bit more messy because it's a longer one, so it's harder to sort of eyeball, as we call it. Okay, that's why I'm just taking my time with it. I'm going to rub out these guidelines once I've done my blue pen, so I don't have to worry too much about them. And again, I'm just going a line at a time. There's some of them here I'm thinking they're not the best lines. I don't think it looks sort of uniform. It looks the same. Oh, all the way down there. You take your time much more with this. I'm doing it a bit quicker, so the video isn't really long. So we are just going. The curves will start to change sizes and things on the hands because we've got different sizes, haven't we? Okay, this part, it gets a bit bigger, okay, and gets smaller again when it comes towards the fingers. So that's why you're getting the different sort of shapes there, the different distances. Okay, you got to see that line coming in. A bit hard when I'm wonky, but I've matched it there. And again, don't make the curve a little bit too big, because they'll start to bump into each other. Okay, I think I might have made mine a little bit too big, but actually I think it'll be okay. Okay. Now one more thing I can do before I start to join on. So I sort of went up to about there with my hand. You can see I'm starting to reach here, so I'm going to stop. So why I'm going to stop with this one is because this line here, okay, these would be affected if we put our hand down there. Okay, we have our knuckles which sort of go up and down, so we have to, although we are still away from the fingers, we still have to think of those. So first thing I'm going to do here is this one on the fingers, that line to that line to join, but it's not going to be one curve over because there's still technically two fingers there. So this one is going to be about the same curve and come down, okay, where the middle of the fingers would be. Okay, I've not done that the best. I'm going to go over again. Okay, so it sort of mimics the lines above it, that first one, but we're not hitting sort of a middle of it. So there you can see that matches. The next one we can see this line's come down here, but this one still needs to meet over there. Now this one is still sort of at the bottom of our fingers, so we would still have a curve. However, the curve should be getting less and less pronounced. Okay, so it shouldn't be going up as high, okay, when we are doing this. Okay, now I've had my paper wonky and I've just noticed that I'm going down at an angle, so I'm going to do that one again. So we can see the curve on this one, so you can see when I do this curve, okay, I'm trying not to come up as much, sort of, as the government would say, flatten the curve. Just thought of that one, Miss Allison and Miss Carthy. Good one, isn't it? Just come to us. I'm a genius. Okay. Oh, I just realised I'm doing it off camera. So you can see now these lines here. So I've came down and curved down to where the finger would meet. Okay, where the knuckles would be at the end of our fingers. But my curve isn't as big as this one here. Okay, same all the way along. Now what I'm going to do with my next line, I can't just go to a straight curve. Okay, again, I'm going to do a similar thing where I'm going to try and flatten that line a little bit more, but it's still going to be a little bit of a curve. Okay, so what we're saying is each time it comes down, it's as if it's in line. I'm going to use my ruler actually for this one. Each time our curve comes down, it will be sort of as, from there. Each time the line comes down, it will sort of be as if it is, so I'm just getting on camera, as if it is where the bottom of the line will be, but we don't want the curve to be as big now, okay, because we're getting away from the finger on the knuckles that aren't raised as much. So you can see I'm using my ruler, okay, with this one to make sure I don't go underneath. So you can see it's starting to flatten out. And my next one, I'm going to go with just a straight curve because we're on to where the hand is. Back of the hand, sorry. And I'm just going to start to go in to my straight curve there. Now that one looks a little bit strange, but then when we add the ones underneath, and again we're doing the same. I'm using my ruler now to just make it easy for me to line, know where I'm coming down to. Yeah, so sometimes you've got to start from that side, then come from this side and meet in the sort of middle. Now with our last one in between those two. And there we go. So if I zoom back out a little bit, okay, you can see I've got my lines going all the way across. Now, some of my lines aren't great, and the more I would be doing this, okay, what I think I'm going to do is this line here I can see doesn't look right. Now that's because it's where our thumb joins in, and I forgot to think about the knuckle that we would have sort of at the bottom of our thumb. So I'm going back to this one. Have we done this one? This one here. What I'm going to do, my curve's going to come down to here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my curve out a little bit as if it's the bottom of the thumb. Okay, so you can see that there. That's the line I've done a bit different, and there's improvements I can make with these up here, but the more I do it, the more I get practice with that one. So that is the man. Now what I need to do is add my margin in. So I'm just going to draw margin straight down there. Boop. Okay. And again, straighten up the side of paper, so I've got a margin down there. Now I'm pretty much finished, apart from going over, adding the paper holes if I want to. So I'm going to use my blue pen. So I'm going to use a blue biro is the best, okay? Make sure I've got a piece of paper here, scribble to make sure it's right, because I'm not normally use crayon for like colouring in and those type of things. And I'm just going to go over each line, okay? Firstly, I do the straight ones, okay? So I go over the lines with my blue biro, okay? And you see it'll pop up there a bit more, it looks a bit darker on there. But when I get down to these fingers, I'm just going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to go to there, stop, do the straight ones, and then I'm going to come back and do the curved ones afterwards and take extra time. Now, what you don't want to do now after you've spent all this time is start to rush these lines and make a mistake. Because we're now at the point where we're using something we can't rub out. and if we make a mistake, it's there to stay. And I'll find that on the one that I did this morning. Okay. Again, someone saying there the blue looks too blue. Okay, mine looks blue in pictures, it goes down a little bit. On the camera it looks a lot darker than it actually is. But also remember, if you have got a piece of art that you're doing, check the colour before you start. Okay, get a spare piece of paper, scribble on it. Is that the colour I want? It's always good to check. As soon as you put something that's irreversible onto your art, that's it there. So use scrap paper, all those things. Make sure it's exactly what you're wanting. Draw my lines in between the fingers as well, but leaving those curves to do them in a bit when I'm really going to take my time with them. Okay. Doesn't matter if yours looking too blue at the minute or anything like that. Just continue on. Keep doing it, trying it. Then you know, maybe getting the effect first. Okay. And then if you do another one or you do this effect or anything else, you'll know, oh, mine was too blue. I need to make sure I'm checking the colours and change the colours next time you do it. Okay, and sometimes when I first go on with my blue line, okay, it doesn't go straight onto the paper and I need to go back over. So what I try and do is make sure I've got everything before I move the ruler, because getting your ruler lined up again perfectly is a hard thing to do, and then you're going to have a double line, and that's where you will be easily able to see mistakes when you look at the finished piece. Again, be careful when you're going up to the fingers as well. Only go up to that very edge. If anything, be further away than closer, and you can do the close a little bit when you come on to do the curves. If you go into that finger, again, that's going to ruin that effect. I did that a couple of times, again, when I was rushing this morning. So it is about taking your time. See that? Didn't originally just come straight down. So I had to go backwards and forwards a little bit. I'd not noticed that until after I took the ruler off. Again, getting my ruler line straight up would have been a nightmare. Again, with the going into the fingers part, again, I need to be careful because I'm leaning on two pieces of card. I use the black card to try and make it stick out for you on the stream. Okay, but be careful with the little parts of the fingers. That's where I find that if at all, I'm going to go into the hand. Okay, that's the hardest part. So what sometimes you might want to do is, if you put your pen at the edge of the finger, go away from it. Okay, you're not going to go into the finger as well, are you? So you use that technique. Use that technique. Mm-hmm. Yes, and Set Gamer's a great point of view there. And he's just going to give it a go. It's his first time doing it, so he's not expecting it to be perfect. Okay, mine that I'm doing here is not going to be perfect. I'm going to look at it and think, could have done this, could have done that. And this one here, I know for a fact, I'll put them next to each other once I've finished. I'm pretty sure this one is going to be better than the first one I did. And I did the first one literally this morning when I first woke up. I knew what I was doing, but I hadn't got around to having to go myself. Like I have a go before the stream to work out what the harder parts are. And I know this is going to be better. And that's literally, I've done one and I'm doing another one a couple of hours later. Okay, so you do improve the more that you've got. Well done catching up, Amelia. Maybe finishing off with the straight lines. Stringing this line up. Now I can see my curve when I've done this is a little bit off, so I'll have to remember when I'm doing that. The important part is that the curve, the 2 points of the curve where they hit the hand, okay, the 2 parts of the line match up. Okay, that's what we're wanting. Oh, now there we go. There's my first mistake rushing. I've hit my knuckle and I've made a little loop thing there, so that's going to affect it. Look at that. I am fuming. Okay, Mrs. Carthy will be over the moon that I've made that little mistake. So again, take your time. So I've got all the straight parts of the line. So now I'm going to go over the curves. Okay, and again, this part I'm going to have to be careful with. Once I put it on, it's going to be there for good. Without the ruler, I can't go backwards and forwards in order exactly the same space. Otherwise, if I try and do that curve backwards and forwards, okay, I'm likely to be off a little bit. And if you can have a look when I did my original, this is the part that I'm talking about the most. When I did my original, look at those curved lines. You can clearly see when you get closer, those lines, when I've rushed them, aren't the best. Okay, and that's exactly why, because I've rushed them. So this one, I'm going to go a little bit slower, and I'm going to go over here. And I'm pressing down hard, because if I press down hard, not hard enough to go through the paper, but hard enough to sort of make a groove in the paper rather than just put the ink on it. So if I do need to go back over, which I am going backwards and forwards, then there's a little sort of guideline for me to go in. Now the reason I'm going backwards and forwards is to get the colours the same. Okay, when I do it with a ruler, the blue comes out a lot darker than if I just do one line. So I need to go back over a couple of times to get the same colour, because the difference in colour again will be one of those things and what I would pick up and be like, that's a little bit off. Okay, again, this one around the edge of the finger. And again, we're just doing the same, but taking our time. Now, what normally happens is you really take your time right at the start there. You think, right, I want these perfect. And then you get a little bit of confidence. You're thinking, oh, I'm getting these. I haven't made a mistake. And you get a little bit faster. Here, you get a little bit more slapdash. And you start to go quicker. Start to rush a little bit. And you start to make mistakes. Okay, so that is what we are wanting to avoid. Keep your concentration all the way through. don't do these fingers perfectly, then by the time you get down to the bottom of the hand, you're rushing them so quickly, you're just making mistakes left, right, and center. Again, that one when I went back, went a bit faster at the start, the line isn't the best. And again, my curves and lines might look a little different to yours. It might be because they're a little bit out. Again, I'm actually over here, so I'm writing at an angle and having to twist my hand to get them, which means my perception is a little bit off. So if you're doing this straight with the paper like that, that's how I should have the paper. Okay, if you're doing it like that, okay, straight to you, you'll do better. And now when I moved the paper, I made another dodgy line. Couldn't write it. Well, it's me, so it's my pen there, the ink's not coming out. Just going to scribble it on another piece of paper, get the ink flowing with it being a biro. Okay. And we just keep going. All we do, working our way down the hand, down the curves, trying to make it the same colour, blue all the way along, sticking to those guidelines. If we are having to go back over, then making sure we're trying to be right on. Now I'm starting to make mistakes again. Try not to make this video last too long, so I would be expecting you to be taking more time on these curves. Okay. Okay, if when you've done your pencil line, you've done a few, okay, there's a couple here where I can see I've done a few where, again, if I wasn't doing this video live and I wasn't conscious of time, I would rub out the pencil line, do it again, so I've got one line. I know which one I'm copying with my pen, and I'm keeping them together. I haven't got the time, so I'm just putting them down. Okay, and longer lines, really hard to go back over and keep on. So again, really take your time. I'm rushing. I repeat that over and over again, but if there's anything that I repeat over and over again, you always know I'm repeating that part because it's an important one. Okay, important one to remember. See, they're not just for this little piece of art that we're doing, but for whatever piece of art you're doing, taking your time and not rushing near the end. Now what you have to be careful with as well, when I'm going over with my blue pen, now they're getting a little bit more freehand rather than following the pencil. So I'm going to slow down again here. These last ones matching. And that again is a line that I've not made the best work with. Got a mistake. Okay. Yeah, I'm not letting it get to me. I'm not saying, oh, mine's looking rubbish or anything like that. Okay, I'm just continuing on, getting on with it. I know, especially on this one, that I'm going faster for the video's sake. than I would be if I was just taking my time with this one. My pen's starting to run out a bit. Not got much left, should be okay. Don't know about you, but my pen tends to go lighter as I get near the end, so it's that last little bit I need to do again. You need to be careful what you lean on as well, because the lines and the bumps and things underneath can affect it. So the curve that wasn't as much. Again, those last few lines, when I've started to go quicker, I've done the same as before. So you can see my lines aren't perfect. Okay, if I had time, I would make them a lot more perfect. But you can still see I've got the same effect when I'm on there. They look a little bit wonky at the minute because I've got my guidelines underneath. So I'm going to rub my guidelines underneath, not around the outside of the hand. Okay, just the guidelines underneath. And as well, if you wanted to, you could also, the straight part of the lines, okay, you can rub those out as well. Again, I'm going quickly, so I'm not going to do that part. Okay, but you can tidy up your hand in the end. It is to get my red pen, and my red pen is going to be for my ruler line. Okay, you haven't got one now, it's fine, just leave a pencil line. You can do it on when you've got it. Now I did my ruler line on quite again quick. I didn't make sure it was parallel, but it looked okay. Yeah. So I now have my margin down the side of the piece of paper. So we have one last thing for the effect to be finished, I suppose, is we're going to add some shading. So again, we're going to pretend the light's coming down from this way, and I'm just going to be putting a little bit of shading on this side of the hand. So I'll go first, just making little lines in this direction all the way along. Not too big, because it's not as if the hand's like miles off the paper. Still quite close. Go around, then get a bit smaller as I come to the top, and we end it there. So I'm going to move my paper around. I'll do the lines going the other way, so sort of cross-hatching effect to get rid of the sort of pencil line, so it looks more like a shadow and less like just pencil scribble underneath. And again, this I'm just using a normal pencil that everyone will have at home. You might have better shading pencils and things like that, effects that you use to create shading. Okay, I'm just using the simplest way that everyone will have. You might have other ways to create it. I've done that. I'm going to use my good old friend, my thumb, to create shading under the thumb. Push a little bit harder. Okay, again, getting rid of that. And I'm going to tidy up with rubbing out, okay, where it's sort of come out and inside on the hand. So I've just got shading underneath. So we have that there. Okay, you see it's going to be under and on the right where we have the shadow. So here on the left, top and left, we don't. But the shadow would start again here. A little bit smaller there, but then it would get bigger as we're going up this finger. And then that's about the size it's going to be. As we are going up. Again, as we get to the top of the finger, we start to go smaller and then disappear as we go there. And again, I'm going the other direction, bit of cross hatching is what we call it when we go across in the opposite direction. Two lines to make it look less like pencil. there's any parts that are lighter than the others, I'm making sure they're all sort of uniform, same shade, and then smudge that there underneath. Again, rub out on the finger, just a shadow under there. And you can see I'm going to be doing the same with the other 3 fingers. Okay, going up on this side, and thin as I get to the top, and then sort of disappear. And a bit thinner as we go in there. I'm gonna just go and keep doing the finger shading now, the shadow underneath, and then I'm gonna do rubbing out. Okay, once I've done all this shading here, the rubbing out of sort of where it's smudged to. And again, I'm doing my finger, I'm moving on. You might want to take more time with your shadows, get them looking a little bit better. What you might notice as well, as the fingers are getting more vertical, so less sort of facing this way, more vertical, the shadow would be a little bit smaller underneath. Okay, because the light's coming from this side, so there's less sort of thing blocking. So my shadow, as you can see under this finger, this one is a little bit thinner, and that's not just because I forgot about it, that's because that finger's sort of more vertical, so it'll be there. So I've got my shading for underneath, so just going to rub out sort of in the fingers there. Okay, and what I'm going to do, just to make it pop out a little bit more, is just shade a little bit along the outside of the fingers that I haven't got shading. So I'm not sort of shading in, okay, I'm not making it a thick line, I'm just more making the line a little bit thicker, okay, giving it a little bit more weight, sort of feel it as it goes over there. And again, same with this finger, give that a little bit more sort of weight, okay, but not thick at all, just making it a little bit sort of darker so it can be seen more than anything. And again with those lines, I'm just going to smudge them so they look less like pencil lines. I'm going to rub off any excess where I've been smudging with my thumb or my finger. Again, if I had more time, I would take a lot more time with this rubbing out to get it. But you can see we have that effect of the hand on the paper like the one we start off with. Now again, I'll put the title on the original one. You can try and write on these lines at the top. You can write your name, date as if it was a piece of paper, something like that. Okay, but we've created that great effect. Okay, with just a bit of shading, drawn out a hand, and created so it looks like a piece of paper there. Now I'll take it a little bit closer. You can probably see the colour a little bit better if I move it on the side there. Okay, so it is bluer than it looks when it's further down. We've got that ruler line. Okay, and we have got that really good effect. So, really good lesson. Some of you might still be doing the shading and things like that. I would obviously expect you to, because you should be taking more time than me. Okay, just a couple of seconds. I'm going to check the chat, see if everyone's okay. And apart from that, thanks for joining the lesson and have fun today. I hope you enjoy it. If you do use the lesson to create this, then please send me pictures to my Twitter, which is Mr. Biggins123, or my Facebook, which is Mr. Biggins123, or as you might have guessed it, my Instagram, which is Mr. Biggins123. Okay, I do love seeing your examples, so if you can send those in, that would be absolutely brilliant. And then please, obviously, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, share it with someone else, see if they can have a go and compare your pictures. Okay. You're welcome, Miss Alison. See you later, Emily. Well done, Hydro Monkey Pro. Well done, guys. Great lesson. Like I said, if you need to rewind any parts of the sheet or anything like that, you can do. Okay. And should have another art lesson this time next Wednesday. Okay. Still in school. on different days. So I can't do all the lessons I was on before. Keep an eye on my social media accounts. I'll let you know what lessons I'm doing. I'll try and I've got a good idea of something that we're going to do in art next week. I'll try and get a picture up at the weekend so you can get ready. Okay, that kind of work there, Amelia. And till next week, I will see you all later. Bye.